Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. And tonight we'll have lots of good Mandela effects to talk about, just as usual. All right, let's see who's on. Looks like our stream status is good. Chipper Hummingbird. Hey, I'm sorry I didn't notice your super chat last time. I'm totally new to super chat and I spaced out. But thank you. I have actually set up an alert for super chat now. I don't know if it'll work or not because I'm not very techy, but maybe we'll find out. I don't know. All right, Chipper Hummingbird and Autumn Nichols, Jen's Gems, Psychosomatic, and before was Lady L was here earlier. Sharkticon Gnaw, yay, made it. Lady L was on earlier on the chat before anybody was here, and she did mention something interesting. Check out alligators or crocodiles that blow bubbles. What the H? I thought you'd like this. Yes, it was interesting. I actually do kind of vaguely remember about 3 years ago that they said that the males blew bubbles, but it was just a few at the time. All the mating rituals for the crocodiles and alligators have really changed for me. They used to be just kind of beasts that chomp things. Now they have these complicated mating rituals, all kinds of neat stuff. So I thought I'd play a quick clip here of these gators. I mean, these are crocodiles that are I guess now it's not just the males that blow bubbles, but also the females. I thought it was kind of interesting. I've got the sound killed, but so they blow bubbles back and forth now, I guess, as part of their mating ritual, which is interesting. Anyway, I don't want to play too much of that because they get a copyright strike pretty quick for some of that stuff. Let's see. Everybody's online. Okay, so that was a quick one. All right, so the main thing I wanted to talk about today was the Statue of Liberty has changed again. Now, I don't know if you remember, I was talking about how it was approximately 100 feet. I thought it was like 103 or something, but last time, and then I said, okay, the statue's gotten a lot shorter and the pedestal's gotten a lot larger. I've been looking at it. I think I noticed this about 5 days ago, actually. I looked at it, and the statue was looking a little larger again. So I looked it up, and now they're saying it's 111 feet to the top of the head, and it's 151 to the top of the torch. What I remember, it was 100 and like about 3 all the way to the top. So to me, it's gotten a little bigger again. Some of this lower pedestal might be a little larger, but anyway, it was 100 feet before, and now it's 150. So kind of weird. Another thing I noticed was this pedestal. It's changed. There was more vertical striping of shadows here, and it didn't have this bunch of bumpy stuff here. It was much more complicated looking before. Now it's got this kind of bumpy brick pattern on the side and just 3 center vestibules or whatever the heck those indented areas are. So that's definitely changed again. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was also a article in the news about somebody climbing up and sleeping under the statue's foot. I thought that was interesting because it just seems like when there's changes, the changes get introduced to the populace in various ways. And one of the ways is in these viral videos and news clips. And so basically by saying, oh, somebody slept under her foot, they're introducing the concept of her foot being up to everybody that sees that article. So I just thought that was really interesting. I suggest that people really pay attention to viral videos and weird things like that. Just anything that's just kind of a comic relief story or no real point to the story. A lot of times there's behind the scenes, there's some kind of an ME in there. Like for instance, one time they were talking about some animal was attacking somebody And then I noticed that that animal didn't used to live in that country before. It was an ME, the location of the animal. Just things like that. So again, I think that the ME really shops around the changes. It does its best to keep people updated, and that article was one of those. That is one shifty statue. Yes, yes, very interesting. I don't know what it means. I was wondering if it shrunk. Maybe it just. I wonder if they're symbolic of the status of the countries. I don't know. It's just a wild guess, but. Did you know that America made a replica of this and gave it to France? Huh. Nope, didn't know that one. Is that new? Because didn't we just look up the whole spiel on the statue? I didn't see anything about that. The whole island song didn't exist for me. Yeah, that's an old ME. I've covered it before. I just can't go over them all. But yeah, that used to be on Ellis Island. I agree with you. There's tons of people who remember that. Even people who don't even know about the Mandela effect. I had somebody over visiting, and he remembered going to Ellis Island to see the statue. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There's one other thing that I thought was weird is this white, I don't know, this white region here is on some of the images now. I don't remember seeing this. I can't figure out what that is. It's some kind of temporary thing because you don't see it on all the images. So you can find another one here. Doink. See, it's not on that image, whatever it is. It's not on this image. But I looked at a lot of images and I did not see this on any last time. So that one really stuck out for me. I'm sure you've seen the other videos from like Unimundi and those about the gold on the torch. I actually saw the gold maybe a year ago. I did not notice any pixelation, but I had not really zoomed on it, so I can't say if that was there or not. But yeah, originally the statue was much taller for me, and it was just the same material as the rest of the statue, kind of that greenish look, and it just blew a lot higher. Now it's way shorter and off to the side, but it's been gold for me for quite some time, so that was not a shocker to me. And that's why I didn't really cover it. I just thought it was old news that the torch had changed. Let's see. Preliminary. Yeah, the statue changed. It was 100 feet last I looked at it. Now it's 111 feet to the crown and like 150 feet, including the torch. Oh, I don't know why anybody would measure it just to the crown, but I think that's part of the scam about confusing. I must have just been remembering to the crown. But no, there was no to the crown and to the torch division before. It was only one height, the actual height. Maybe it's taller because arm is no longer bent. Yeah, I mean, I think that it is sticking up higher, but I don't think it's going to add a third of the height. I don't think the height's going to go up by 33%. I mean, just a few feet, 10, 15 feet max. I can't see that alone. I did kind of notice when we first talked about the changes that she seemed to be pushing forward and thrusting forward the torch a lot more, but I think that that people who have commented on are right that it has gotten more extreme since the last time we looked at it. Preliminal. Yeah, I remember when the torch was green as the rest of her. Exactly. Preliminal. And also it was, the flame was much higher for me. It was not it looks a little snuffed out to me. It was really used to burn bright, high kind of a look to me. That was really what I noticed the most, was the shape of it. All right, anyway, so Statue of Liberty. I think that's just the stream quality. All right, this is another one that's, I guess these weird catfish are pets, and they're called gulper catfish. This whole concept of things eating something so huge now has been very common for the deep sea fish, but I see it's really spreading now to the regular kind of accoutrement of animals on Earth. And so this is a catfish that's a pet, and he is going to eat something almost his full size here in a second. So it's just really surprised me. So this guy next to him, check that out. I mean, he wails on that thing. Turn off the sound. So yeah, I guess these gulper catfish, that's how they eat. They eat stuff. See how his stomach expands out like that? I mean, there was nothing that could do that in my old timeline. You could not eat something that is the same size as yourself in the old days. Well, that one's a trip. Anyway, so let's see. So that's another one. Yeah, I'm super sleepy today, so I think I might be in the middle of a shift or something. I'm not feeling so great, so we'll see how long this goes for. I may not do a super long live stream, maybe just an hour this time. Okay, this one, Devo, the goofy band with the goofy outfits. We used to always joke that Devo wore toilet seats on their heads. They used to actually look like toilet seats in my old timeline. I mean, when you looked at them, you immediately went, ha ha, they're wearing toilet seats. Well, apparently in this timeline, they wore these, what do they call those things? Spud collars, which I have no idea what the heck that is. But, see, this is an interesting little bit of residue here with these people wearing these toilet seats. Because to me, for me, they really did wear toilet seats, but I guess they wore these here. They didn't. They wore spud collars. And so every image of them shows these spud collars. I'm not even sure what those are. I kind of looked it up, but I didn't really. Let me see if I can figure out what a spud collar is. Unfortunately, when you type in spud collar, you mostly just get a bunch of Devo stuff, so that doesn't really, it's kind of circular. Plastic spud ring collar, collars, rings, and spud holders. Yeah, see, most of it just talks about Devo. Anyway, so that's weird for me. So anyway, I don't know what you guys remember, but I remember them really being like toilet seats, and that we would joke that they're wearing toilet seats. So either they were wearing spud collars and spud collars look like toilet seats, or they were wearing toilet seats. But we always said, ha ha, they're wearing toilet seats, because it looked like that. But here, nope. Although some people still remember it like that, no, they weren't. I used to just think, why are they, they're just putting toilet seats on to be as ridiculous as possible, but Sharkticon doesn't remember any collars. I don't think they wore toilet seats in all of them. It was just one famous one. I don't know. It was just one that we used to always joke about as their most ridiculous thing, was those toilet seats. I mean, and if you type in Devo toilet seats, you will find well, now I lied. Okay, well, that one only, I guess, but all right, I lied. So you only find one Devo toilet seats. But anyway, in my timeline, they were toilet seats. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, this one. Who brought this one out? I'm totally disorganized today. All right, this one was from Parallel Dolls, is a commenter on the channel, and she noticed this. I saw this later too. It's all over the place. Spiders can fly hundreds of miles using electricity. So originally, for me, 10 years ago, spiders did not fly. Then maybe 5 years ago, you started to hear, oh, they can fly on the wind. And the other thing was these huge conglomerations of communal spider web also started around that time too. And it's gotten really ridiculous now, because you could just have the entire landscape covered with spider webs. They have no reason to do that. There's no explanation for why all the spiders communally make giant webs. So now it gets even weirder. Apparently they use electricity to fly. So they not only did they spin their web out into the air, but electricity carries them, is the storyline. Ballooning spiders operate within this planetary electric field. When their silk leaves their bodies, it typically picks up a negative charge. This repels the similar negative charges on the surface on which the spiders sit, creating enough force to lift them into the air. I don't know if I really buy that, but apparently just by, they're not explaining how they pick up the negative charge. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to even go with this one, but apparently that's what they do now. Oops, there was something weird down there. It's called tiptoeing. They stood on the ends of their legs and stuck their abdomens in the air, Mark asks. You know, I can't say I really know. I tend to refer to them as different versions. I can't swear to it. It seems like they're different versions. They not only do they have different stories, but some of them's personalities do shift quite a bit. I don't know. It's hard to know for sure. I spend a lot of time thinking about that myself. I tend to lean towards the different versions, different timelines thing, but I don't think that it fully explains everything. The merging timelines is about the closest I've gotten. I would not swear that that's the complete answer, though. I sometimes wonder if maybe it's something we just can't really understand, you know, just sort of like a quantum thing, because if you look into quantum theory, it's pretty hard to wrap your brain cells around, and maybe the Mandela is like that too. I'm not sure. Research 5G. I'm gonna go over that Mount Rushmore thing a bit. I actually, I actually looked at it on the close up, and it's kind of circular, but it's not really. I'll show you a close up image of it. Two of my family members apparently have never been diabetic. My and sister. I think you skipped a few words in there, but Belinda Brubaker. That's interesting. So they were diabetic before, and now they're not, huh? But then Mandela effect became diabetic really quickly, and one of my friends also became. He was just a little bit diabetic, and now suddenly he is a type 1 very quickly. So I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely a lot of health things that are switching around really rapidly lately. Flying snakes too. Hey you, I know about those ones that flatten out and kind of slither along. Those are a little bit older, like a few years older Mandela. I think I covered those in one of those new animal set to music videos I did a while back. My old version of Norway, Sweden, and Finland is different than many affected unless they weren't familiar with the old version. Preliminal for me, Norway, Sweden, and Finland was sitting on top of Poland next to Denmark. And it jumped about 6 months ago over to be stuck under Russia. And there was one other person who did see it. That came about when everybody was talking about, hey, look, Poland has a coastline now, and they remembered in the middle. No, not coastal. And I kept looking at them like, well, what was on top then? You know, because all the other countries were accounted for. And I realized that it had been Norway, Sweden, Finland, and they were smaller. They had been getting bigger and bigger. And then when they made the jump to Russia, they were a lot bigger. So I don't know if that corresponds with you, that I tend to be kind of alone in that one. Not many people saw it. Research 5G. Agent Smith no longer says Mr. Anderson. We've been expecting you. That whole line used to be in the interrogation scene. Yes, I saw there's a video on that somewhere. Yeah, I do remember them saying that. But there's a lot of things that are different. A lot of my old shows I used to watch are they're just more corny and more sexualized than they used to be. Also, yep, they have both always been diabetic. Well, at least your family's getting healthier. You get something good out of it. Prilma, do you make the outrageous claim that Norway used to be separate from Sweden? No, they were together for me. They were still stuck in a similar shape than they are now, but they were in a different place. Saw a water turtle as girl's pet stand up like a dog to beg. Yeah, all the animals are getting smarter. I just saw a video earlier about a seal that jumped up onto somebody's boat because there was some predators in the water. I'm constantly seeing videos now of seals jumping onto boats for all kinds of reasons, stealing fish, all kinds of stuff. Just animals helping other animals, monkeys helping tigers, monkeys helping prey animals. I mean, they're all this cross species hunting, two kinds of animal species hunting together. There's just so many of those videos. They're just daily now. We're just getting bombarded with them. Sweden didn't stretch way up for me. It was much smaller and not next to Norway in the Earth version I was in. Could be. Could be. It seems like just the last few weeks I've heard so many Emmys that I've never heard of before. Now, they're usually on things that are known to be shifty. I don't think that people are just suddenly making up stuff. I think we might be getting another scramble of timelines or something. Some of the Emmys are just like, it just seems like we're getting more and more divergent in our past memories. But some of them are just out of the ballpark. People coming saying they remembered all this weird stuff. But they all, if you watch the Emmy long enough, there's sort of certain patterns you'll see in Emmys. And when trolls try to come in and fake them, a lot of times they look suspicious. And a lot of the Emmys that are legit are often on some weird little detail too. So it wouldn't even be worth lying about, like, in this movie I watched, in this scene where so-and-so goes into the hallway, they have a different shirt on or something. I mean, Emmys like that, they're just small enough that nobody would even bother to lie about it. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but Indonesia's only slightly north of Aussie now. It used to be way farther north. Borpheus Maximus. Well, for me, Australia was way the hell down there. We had a lot more ocean back then, so it was totally isolated with ocean, tons of ocean around. You can't even put it back the way it was now. There's not enough ocean. How come we all have different versions of reality? What is going on? I believe people are telling the truth, but it's crazy. Chipper hummingbird. Yes, that one is got to be the most confusing thing, because if you were inventing this, if you were making a movie and you came up with this plot line, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, the director would be like, well, explain it better, because that it doesn't really fit with our preconceptions about how reality works. And even if there was different timelines, like kind of the classic quantum theory, then how come we're crossing over into other timelines? And then, people are saying there were other versions, even of me. There are people who said that things I said have changed. My login for my Reddit account has changed according to a whole bunch of people. So I don't doubt it. And they all say the same thing, just one E is missing now out of my login name. So I don't think they're lying, but if they're not, then who or where or what was the other me that they remember? I mean, is that like another timeline version of me? Or what? Are they just remembering wrong? I mean, that's what's the big confuser. If it was just timelines, or if it was just time travel, or if it was just things changing. You see, it was just things changing, everybody should notice, or at least they should notice the same things. If it was just timelines, then you don't have, that doesn't really explain the issue of what causes us to have all different timelines. It's just so confusing. It makes me crazy. I spent a lot of time thinking about it, but I can't really put it together. Europe got scrunched for me. The space of the planet just looks all wrong. Yeah, Europe is teensy tiny now. I mean, you look at it and just like, there's like just Saudi Arabia is almost bigger than just all of Europe. So, I don't know what's going on with Europe, but it is super, super duper too small. With the spread of the internet and computers, has there ever been a time that allowed so many to compare realities, memories, videos? All can be shared much easier now. Dathramar. To some extent, I agree with you, but 10 years ago, 15 years ago, most of us were on the internet still. I mean, I was on the internet since late 90s at least. So, I mean, this could have still happened 10 years ago. I don't know what's going on and what's caused the final that I don't know why it's going so much faster now, but even though even only now are we really talking about it. I'll tell you that a couple years ago I noticed a hell of a lot of these changes, and what I was asking people around, what's that? The sky is a big one. Why does the sky suddenly look reddish at night? Why does it look so light? I was already asking that before I knew of the Mandela effect. And I do not remember nearly so many changes like 20 years ago. So although I think that the ME may have been going on a long time, I do not think it was going on nearly so quickly, even 10 years ago. Let's see. Dang it. I'm having so much trouble keeping my eyes open today. My daughter goes, so Mom, are you saying we might merge or shift between realities? I said, I didn't say that, LOL. Belinda Brubaker. Yeah. I don't know. I think the kids have to maybe try to figure it out for themselves because we don't have the answers. All we can do is say, this is what I'm seeing, but I don't know what's behind it. Duarte. Am I the only one who remembers the Philippines president being Duarte? Now it's Duterte. I remember it being Duarte, Duarte. Now that you mention it, Research 5G, I do remember it being Duarte. Was it ever Duarte in the past? I wonder. Let's see. That's another spelling that flip-flops all over the place. Was Philippines, the spelling of Philippines. Sometimes it's got a PH, sometimes it has an F, sometimes there's sometimes there's two L's and sometimes there's two P's, like I guess right now. I had some family from the Philippines that they weren't directly related, but I had to spell it all the time, and it did not have two P's. I don't see anything for Duarte. So, yeah, unless there was one recently called Duarte, then no. I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Duarte. Good find, good find. I posted an illustration of how Norway was in one of the groups last year. Yeah, repost it. Just curious. My 15-year-old daughter and I experienced a change together. She's thinking now. I think it's easier for the kids. They're more flexible. They haven't set their mind on how things are. They integrate it a lot better. As long as you just don't act too freaked out and go, yeah, the world is weird. Much larger Earth came from, yes, Shark Decon. Yes, I don't remember the exact measurements of the Earth, but I can tell you that compared to the land, there was a lot more water. And it does look like most places are shrinking. It seems like a lot of space has been taken out of California. Driving distances have dropped in a lot of California. Russia might be bigger, I'm not sure. Or it could be that the other countries have shrunk in comparison and made Russia look a lot bigger. I mean, it could be, I guess, that the Earth expanded, but the land is bigger. I don't think so, though, because the driving distances, for the most part, seem to be lessened. King Tut death mask had holes in the ears. Now, don't remember seeing those. Dead GPK. I just didn't know those death masks at all. I know Mandela Effect talks about them, a couple other people. It wasn't something I really looked at that much, so I can't help with that one. I think CERN messing with antimatter has started tearing the veil between psychosomatic said that. The only thing is, I would guess, and it's a wild one, but I would guess that if CERN was tearing the veil, then the ME would not be so sneaky and orderly in the way it operates. So that's why I think that it is something beyond just a mistake. That's my guess. I can't swear to it, but that is my guess. Okay, I think I'm catching up. God, I'm having a heck of a time keeping my eyes open. I slept plenty. I tried to take a nap. It didn't do any good. I'm not actually sick. I mean, it's just classic, classic shift sickness. I'm seeing a huge bright star in the west when sun going down, then disappears after a few hours. That's a tough name. It's Tijvijik Zix. Okay, I think you made that name just to be hard. Anyways, about a year and a half ago, there was a super bright star to the west. Right before sunset, you could even see it. Even when the sun was just barely under the horizon, you could see it. It was very, very bright. And it was Venus, according to everybody. And the skeptics said that it had always done that it was always super bright at that season. This season, it's not there. I do see it a couple hours later, up more to the north a little bit than it was before. It's still bright. I'm assuming it's still Venus, but it has moved a little bit. But yeah, that's one thing interesting is a year ago they said it's always there every year at that time. Now they're saying, oh no, when Venus appears is not an annual rotation. It's on its own schedule. So this is one of the reasons I just don't have time for skeptics anymore, because so many skeptics have tried to poo-poo something away and say and give me an excuse for it, and then a year later it changes again and all of their excuses are out the window. Maybe we're just starting to figure it out because enough things have been put in place for us to see it. That's Dathramar. Could be, I just wonder if maybe we reached some kind of tipping point. I mean, again, it's just a guess. But maybe it was just some kind of threshold was reached where things had to start accelerating. I don't know. Just guessing, but it just feels like that to me. An entire building changed within 24 hours. I called the business on speaker. Apparently we were seeing things for several months. Belinda Brubaker. Oh, that's what they told you, that it didn't happen? Yeah, I've talked to some of these people, like T-Mobile. I talked to one of the guys who worked there, and he was actually suddenly very rude when I suggested that his logo had changed. There would be no reason to be a kind of obnoxious jerk over a question like that. I mean, I'm sure they hear dumb questions all day about cell phones, and they don't treat people like that. So it was weird. 5G. Prerogative is now prerogative. It was prerogative for me for quite some time. I can't say it was for like my whole life, but because of that song, It's My Prerogative, and I remember it was prerogative for that. So that song is kind of old. The photo phone is very interesting. Never seen that before. I don't know what a photo phone is. Let's see. Is it some old cell phone thing? Transmissions of speech on a beam of light. Invented by Alexander Graham Bell. If I could just keep my eyes open. Invented, joined by Alexander Bell and his assistant Sumner Tainter in 1880 at Bell's lab. Transmitted a wireless voice telephone message from the roof of Franklin School to the window of Bell's lab some 700 feet away. Bell believed that photophone was his most important invention. Was the precursor to the fiber optic communication system. Yeah, that is a total trip. No. 1880, huh? So they had wireless in 1880, basically. And then how come it took us so long to go ahead and invent wireless again? That's just weird. First successful wireless voice communications in 1878. Weird. I'm going to have to read later why the telephone itself was still something of a novelty and radio was decades away, but they invented wireless. How sunbeams are used. That's weird. We don't even use light, do we? I mean, I don't know. I guess it would have to have line of sight, but still, that's pretty weird. Bell had hoped his photophone could be used by ships at sea and to displace a plethora of telephone lines that were blooming along busy city boulevards. His design failed to protect its transmissions from outdoor interferences. Okay, so that's the excuse why we didn't use it. Still interesting. Again, tech before its time. We've seen plenty of that. Good find, Dead GPK. I kind of looked over the videos this morning that are out there on YouTube, but I didn't really get through them all, so I don't know if what's the latest. Yep, I agree on the tipping point, Eva. Chipper hummingbird. Yeah, it just seemed like society had reached a point with the internet and with the way it was developing. Maybe something had to happen. I'm not sure. It's just a feeling. I can't swear to it, but I'm the type of person that needs solid proof because hearsay and going on blind faith never worked for me. But Jesus gave me multiple strong signs for him that's turned me into a believer. All I know is that, I can see the ME with my own eyes. It's probably the one type of paranormal thing that it just keeps showing itself over and over right in front of my face. So I can't not see it. Any other paranormal, I've always been interested in the paranormal, but it's always been elusive. You might have a few specific weird events, but few and far between. The ME totally changed all that. So that's why the ME is now my most interesting thing that in my life, because it just flies in the face of everything. She was nice. I just called and complimented the ivy. It's a florist, so she started telling me the history. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I had one of those. Somebody I know, something changed in their house, and I just mentioned it. She launched into a whole story of that thing, and it wasn't even there before. And suddenly I got the entire history of it. It's just weird how that is. I don't know. Photophone makes no sense. Better than telephone in every way, but wasn't used for over 100 years. Well, they're saying that environmental noise caused it to not be that useful. Is the storyline for the photophone, from what I'm reading here on the wiki, anyway. I mean, the ME is pretty thorough, so it usually comes up with some kind of excuse. Greece was located where Bosnia is now. Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania were all more east, and the Black Sea is different. That whole place is scrambled. The Black Sea is definitely different, but I didn't know that area really well, so I mean, I know it looks different, but I can't say, oh, this is exactly where things were. This is like Tesla's wireless electric transmission. Yeah, all that yammer about Tesla's wireless and then not one word about the photophone before now. It just that should have been on all kinds of science shows long before now. I wonder where you even saw that thing. We still experience this delay in technology today. I'm still using it just jumped. Still using internal combustion engines on most cars. Yep. Yeah, but if this tech goes backwards in time, I think that the point is that then we'll be able to jump faster out of our current tech. Our broadband internet cables are fiber optic. Oh yeah, good point, psychosomatic. Yes, we do use light, but we have them running on the cables now. Apparently they didn't have that. It doesn't sound like they did. I'm really having trouble staying awake today and concentrating, so I'm going to be running a little slow. I'm not going to research this right now. It's just my brain is too tired. Yeah, I'm going to just finish up a couple things, at least an hour's worth. Just in the past year, Kazakhstan became twice as big. Yes, Kazakhstan. I'm not even sure if I had Kazakhstan like 20 years ago, but it was dinky when I knew of it. It was not this big beast that it is now. It's huge. Yeah, right. It's impossible to ignore the ME. Once you know about it, at least I can't. It's all the time now. And, I hear ridiculous stuff, and I've got to go check, because in the old days I'd be like, that's not real. But now you don't know about anything. Birds eating other birds. Multiple videos of seagulls eating pigeons. Saw one video of a pelican swallowing a duck. Plus all the herbivores now omnivores. Yeah, exactly. I did some videos on some of those. I don't think I have any of seagulls eating pigeons or pelicans swallowing a duck. But, this whole thing of like animals eating things almost as big as them. I mean, those birds used to not be able to put a whole other really big bird in their stomach and keep it in there. I mean, that bird would do damage. Will we be able to do the new text while everyone else acts like it's always been here? Jen's Gems. It seems like the ME is doing its best to keep us all updated. So I think, if you look at how fast tech has moved with cell phones and stuff, it's moved pretty fast, but they make them user friendly. So I think we'll be all right. Humans eating humans, LOL, what's next? Well, we already have, cannibalism in some little tribes and stuff, but I have noticed that the past of a lot of things are more creepy than they used to be. There's a lot more cannibalism and weird stuff in the tribes, more violence. This is weird about the catfish, yeah. But, it fits. You've got pelicans eating ducks and fish eating fish their same size, and there's a definite pattern there. All right, so let's see, where am I at now? This one is weird. I guess women have a type of prostate gland now. I think somebody else found this one. Where was this one? Oh, that was the other day's one. Oh, you know what? This was from Brian McFarlane. I can't remember how his current version is. I think it's Brian McFarlane. He was McFarland for me before, but Brian McFarlane's live stream on 7/3/18. Somebody on there mentioned this female prostate gland, and I just wanted to mention it too. It's weird, but apparently we have a prostate type of gland now, and women can get prostate cancer, and it has a lot of similar features to the male one. It has been postulated that the Skene's glands are the source of female ejaculation. Female ejaculation was just a rumor 10 years ago for me. There was no proof, but apparently now the Skene's gland are in charge of it. And the Skene's gland are a homologous female prostate. So there you go. Women becoming more like men again. That's another pattern. Okay, here's another one I wanted to go over. There was somebody who did some videos, and I ran across them doing my usual video hunt, and it was channel name was JW, and he had a couple of videos on there where he was showing some changes in his brow ridges, and he felt that they had gotten shorter. That I think he was saying out here, I am not sure what part now. I was going to just play a clip of his, but so anyway, I decided to go and look at the skull, and what I'm kind of seeing with this skull changes lately is the two holes that were right here in the top of the head. It looks like that dent is getting more pushed in. So you can kind of see on some of these. See, maybe this one's a good one. See, it's pushed in kind of a wider range there, and then the brow ridge comes out over here. I'm seeing that pushed in area here. I think that's what he was referring to when he was pointing out on his eyes. The other thing that I've noticed was that on a lot of these images here, there is kind of, and he had also mentioned this, JW, that he noticed some kind of bumpiness on his forehead here, and you can see it on some of these images, and this one all the way across. But also there's a huge pinched in area here between the eyes and the nose on a lot of these skulls now, and that's different for me. You can see that also the nose cavity seems to be getting a little bigger, and this nose ridge here is getting more prominent, and that little bit down there, same thing. There's one other thing I noticed is that in some of the images now, the bones across the top here, these nasal bones, actually kind of split apart a little and kind of flail apart. See if I can find one that has that. There's only a few images doing it now, but that's usually how it starts. Okay, this one kind of shows it. There's a little bit of a split on the edge bones there. Here again, a little bit of a split. And see how deeply pinched in that is right there. I think this area also here has expanded. It used to be more like just here, but now this the side of the head, the dented in spot, I think is a lot bigger than it was. Let's see what else we can find. So yeah, JW took down his videos. It's kind of a bummer because he seemed like he was really good at observing changes on his own self. I tend to look on these images here, but I don't always notice them on myself as much as I could. Here's another one. It looks like a little bit split on those end nose bones. Again here. There's something going on with this nose bone right here. Nasal bones, I think they call them. Anyway, I'm not finding the exact one I saw earlier, but keep an eye on those because there was several images like that. I think you're going to see that nasal bone splits out more. Let's see. All right, so let's just burn along here. Okay, so the thumbnail, you saw that weird feet-like thing, and apparently there's a tribe now that actually has these ostrich feet, is what they're calling them. See if I can find who said that one. Ostrich feet, and that was from Jen's Gems. Good find, Jen. And they're called the Vedoma, and they have these feet where the middle toes don't form, and then they have these giant side toes. And so this tribe, not everybody in the tribe has it, but a lot of the people in this tribe called the Vedoma from Zimbabwe have these, and they call them ostrich feet. And another thing interesting about these feet were that they're saying that these people are not handicapped. They walk around fine. And there's even some yammer that it might aid with climbing. So that's pretty weird. Now, you probably have seen in the last few years, there's been a lot of these lobster claw people that have a similar kind of thing with their hands. And there's like people, like families that all have lobster claws. There's just been a ton of weird, like just very strange malformations that are just flooding the internet right now. I don't know if these people are real. I've never met one. Here's the lobster claw one family. They all have, basically these people are just missing some of their center fingers. They just have a few pinchy ones out the sides. So I don't know, just a bunch of weird stuff like that. So these all people, they call them the ostrich tribe because they have feet like an ostrich. Anyway, just weird. Weird. DNA unglued, Billbird. Yeah, DNA is just getting really flippy floppy. Just seems like, I think that I just saw a statistic was like 1 in 1,000 have some limb deformity. I don't think it was that common before. T-Box is in town. Hey. Hello, Eva and everyone. I'm trying to ask people in lucid dreams if they know what is going on. Preliminal. I'll tell you, I used to play a lot with lucid dreaming and that kind of thing. And one thing that I used to experience a lot was I would become lucid in a dream, and it seemed like there were other people, like they were really other people there. Because sometimes you have a dream and the other characters are shallow and they're just like thought forms. There's nothing really in there. But sometimes it seems like people really are there. And when that happened, I would be like, look, we're in a lucid dream, and they would be like, no. And I'm like, look, I can fly. So I would like fly. And as I tried to fly, they would look away and they wouldn't see it. And I would try to do all these things to show them, but they would never happen to be looking. And one time in one of those dreams, I asked one of them, I said, if this was a dream, would you want to know about it? And he said, no, really adamantly. And then from that time on, I didn't ask anymore because I just felt like I had my answer. This is why they can't see, because they don't want to. And that was like, and it's funny because that was long before the Mandela effect, long before, but it really reminds me of that now. So I don't know if you'll get an answer. Is my long-winded story is trying to say that in my lucid dreams, those people were clueless. And maybe you can find somebody that knows more than those people, but I did not have any luck. I just want things to go back to the way they were. Research 5G. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. I do wonder if maybe those timelines were not successful or they were running into trouble, that we got shifted out. I do feel like each shift is a lot of work, and going back would be a long time process. I just don't know if we can. I just have a bad feeling about what might have happened in the old timelines, to be honest. That's why as much as I sometimes miss it, I don't feel like I want to go back. That's just a feeling I have. I certainly feel sometimes like I wish that ride would slow down a little at least, but the temple dents have been a concern to me since I first saw them ages ago. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We're just getting a really weird alien head now. All right, I'm going to jump down to the bottom. Let's see. Maybe we are dreaming now, and when we dream, we are actually awake. I don't know, or maybe, we dream different dreams. I mean, I've certainly had it where I thought that this place was a dream while I was dreaming, and then, I got confused. I've been having way more deja vus. Also, a lot of people I meet for the first time. It seems like I met them before. Research 5G. I never did get deja vus. That's one thing I never had. A lot of people talk about it, but I've never had it. I had a lucid dream last night. I always analyze my dreams. Yep. I do that a lot. In the end, it's just my guess, though. The thing about analyzing dreams is I can never really know if I'm right or not. I just have to go by intuition. I do remember lobster-clawed people from old Ripley's photos, but there seem to be a lot more now. Bilbert. Yeah, I do kind of remember it, but I don't remember it going way back. I remember it going back about 10 or 15 years ago. I remember a time when new MEs rolled out at a trickle, and you could keep up with them as they rolled out. Now there's way too many to keep up with by the day. Yes, I agree with you there. When I first learned of the ME, I was trying to keep track of it all, and I kind of could. I can't do it anymore. I can't. And I had to kind of let go. It kind of makes me crazy. I feel like I want to keep an eye on all of it, but I just can't. I have to let go of that. I used to think deja vu was a form of telepathy, but now I believe it's memories of other timelines. It could be. It could be. I agree with that. All right, so let's see. Where are we? We did photophone. We did spiders. We did Vadoma. All right. I'm going to delete some of these. I didn't want to put too many windows up. My computer's been kind of crabby today. Sometimes when I shift, the computer doesn't work that great. Okay, here's one I wanted to talk about. This one's kind of a weird one, but I have noticed some differences in my sense of touch. For instance, I have a back scratcher, and I was kind of scratching my back, and that used to be really good feeling, scratching the back, and I just feels like I don't really feel it the same way anymore. I kind of feel like maybe my sense of touch is a little blunted now. I mean, I can still do everything, but somehow there's something missing. I don't know how to describe it. It's another strange thing, and this, I don't know if it's related or what, but also my dog used to love to roll over for tummy rubs. Now she just acts like she could care less if I rubbed her tummy or not. She just doesn't show that, like, oh, yay, I love tummy rubs activity anymore. She's just like, whatever. So I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if I'm getting, paranoid about the Mandela, but just weird. Thought I'd bring it up. I'm like a bear, find a corner of wall to itch back. Does it feel the same, though, to you now? Does it still feel as good as it used to? Different skin, nerves, etc. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All right, so anyway, that one. Covered that one. Oh, this one's weird. Okay. Definitely got to do this one. Oops. So I guess you've got sheep now that you don't have to shear them. The wool will come off just by kind of pulling on it. And this is the process where it's called rooing. I've never heard of this. I can't swear that it wasn't there, but I thought it was pretty interesting. Let's see if it'll load. So they're shearing the sheep by just kind of progressively yanking on it. I thought that was pretty weird. If you watch this long enough, that you'll see they are making progress. Looks pretty tiring, but... So I thought that, I don't know, just weird. Kind of convenient of the sheep. It makes the wool, and all you have to do is like harvest it. The sheep doesn't look too upset either. I mean, it's sitting there. It's not getting peeved, so I guess it's not too uncomfortable. Richby, I thought they shaved the sheeps. They do still. They're saying some breeds of sheep can just be rude. So they're saying it's not supposed to be GMO. Let's look into it here. Breeds of sheep. Rooing. The breeding sheep shows. I'm not really finding the info. Rooing. All right, let me try one more. Hey, there's not much info on it. Well, hopefully that's not a fake one. Everybody seemed to agree it was real at the time. Rooing sheep. Huh, interesting. Not finding much info on it. Hopefully it's not a scam and I got totally fooled. I'll have to do some more research on that one. See, there's a whole bunch of scholarly responses about how the sheep don't mind, blah, blah, blah. Huh. All right, I'll have to do more research on that one. All right, this one was brought by Love, Light, and Awake, a commenter on my channel, and she has been noticing thin or no eyebrows in people. She feels like people have less eyebrows. I do not think I have less eyebrows, but one thing I did notice, even a few months ago, is I feel like I'm missing some eyebrow out the side. I feel like my eyebrow used to go down more, and now it just sort of goes across and kind of suddenly stops right there. And interestingly, I had banged my head when I was a kid, and I have a scar here. And so this eyebrow used to be shorter than this one because the scar there, the hair was kind of missing. But now you don't see it so much because this side does not have much eyebrow on that edge either. So they're kind of evened out now. So I don't know if that's a Mandela. I mean, I know there's a lot of weird eyebrow fashion going on right now, so that might be part of it. But I do feel like I'm missing some eyebrow out the edges. Do y'all feel your food digests differently in your body? I feel like the movement of food through my stomach, intestines all out of whack. My stomach gurgles a lot too for no reason. That's hey you. Yeah, the noisy stomach thing, that was people were talking about that a couple weeks ago. Definitely noisy. I agree with you there. There's definitely new traveling through the system. It feels different. So I agree with you. I don't know if I'd say it's out of whack, but it's different. It's definitely different. All right, this one. Who came up with this one? Infrared is triggered by. This is from Stand Up for Freedom commenter. And this one is that humans apparently can see into the infrared spectrum now. This is a really interesting one. So you can find that. Let's see. Human infrared vision is triggered by. I think that's enough to find it. Actually, I'm just going to go with there. This one will be more interesting than the scientific one is kind of dry and hard to understand. Any science textbook will tell you we can't see infrared light, like X-rays and radio waves. Infrared light waves are outside the visual spectrum. But an international team of researchers has found that under certain conditions, the retina can sense infrared light after all. We are using what we learned in these experiments to try to develop a new tool that will allow physicians to not only examine the eye, but also stimulate, okay, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so basically, we can see infrared light now. And it was, if I remember correctly, they were saying it was a greenish light. They were able to see the laser light, which was outside the normal visible range. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, greenish. I remember they said it was, we see it as greenish. Interestingly, just maybe a few months ago, somebody was telling me how everything looks greenish at night when it's dark, and I realized it does look greenish, and I was wondering if that was a Mandela. I don't remember it looking quite as greenish as it does now, but I'm not sure on that one. But anyway, when I read this thing today about this greenish infrared, I wondered if it's related. I don't know, but my mind made that connection. So anyway, yes, apparently we can see infrared now, which is cool. It was a couple years ago they were saying we could see ultraviolet if our lenses are removed. They're saying that the lens of our eyes blocks the UV, and if we don't have lens, like some people have their lenses removed due to damage of the lens or whatever, they can see UV light like a bee. They can see all those weird colors. So basically now we have both UV and infrared that we can see in some situations. So there is certainly a glow at night, Bilbert. Yeah, and that's something you have to think about is we assume that the sky is brighter, but maybe our eyes are picking up more light now, and maybe the sky is not necessarily brighter. But then we've got the birds singing in the middle of the night, so they are seeing something too. But again, maybe they're physiologically changing as well, and they're seeing more. So it's kind of hard to nail these down because most of the things we know are in comparison to other things. Okay, this one's from Julie Holcomb. Kind of a weird one. So they're basically saying now that they this shock therapy works for back pain. Now, I remember them using shock therapy way back in the old days for depression, but I guess now it's supposed to be the bee's knees for pain. I don't know why electrocuting your nerves would make them stop feeling pain as much, but I guess it's a thing now. How do I get rid of this stupid ad? Ugh, there. Nope, that didn't do it. The ad that can't be killed. Anyways, so yeah, shock therapy for back pain. I don't know if you guys have a lot of back pain, you might want to try it. Miraculous recovery. Constant pain when she learned to live with by taking painkillers. They're saying that people can get off painkillers or really reduce them using this shock therapy. Very weird. All right, this one. Another weird thing, mysterious brain-like blob found in lagoon. I had kind of researched this stuff a bit in the past, and I knew about the stromatolites. Stromatolites are a lot like these bryozoans, but so these little communal mounds of creatures, they look like brains, and they're found under the water. If you get an image of it, would be nice. It doesn't appear that we're going to. Gelatinous mucus-like creatures lurks in rivers and lakes, and it's called a bryozoan. I've never heard of bryozoans before. So they were spotted in Vancouver, British Columbia for the first time ever when low water levels made them more visible. Whether or not the creatures are an invasive species has been a subject of debate among scientists. So let me see if I can get you a image of these. Okay, so there they are. They look like little slimy brains under the water. Just pretty weird. I mean, if you saw that under the water. So there's one under the water. I don't know how people would not know about that. They're pretty weird, but just more weird stuff. Okay, here's another one. This one again from Julie Holcomb. Hazy skies expected in Austin this weekend as African dust cloud looms. So basically, Austin, Texas, I think this was yesterday, is getting a dust storm from Africa. And we've been hearing a lot of this dust traveling all across the earth. But what's interesting is, she's lived in Texas for many, many, many years and never heard of any dust storms coming from Africa. And then yesterday, no, was it today? Yes, today, this morning, we hear on the news here in San Diego are saying that we're getting dust storms from a nearby desert. And I've lived here for 20 years and we never got haze or dust storms from a nearby desert. It's not even that windy. I mean, it's been really just kind of just kind of dead with the wind. So apparently now we get haze from the dust storms from the desert. We never ever got that before. I've been watching some other paranormal channels, and they're having dust storms that span just covering all the way across the earth now. So this whole dust storms thing, it's just weird. I just never saw anything like that, 15 years ago that we have now. All right, so dust storms. Got that one. Got you. Oh, this one. Yes. Okay. Let me go to my indicator MEs. There's one specifically I wanted to talk about, and that's this one. I'm not sure if somebody covered this. This just changed recently for me. This is this image here of the Sistine Chapel. Is this middle one's the one you usually see, but this is the surrounding images, so it shows all of them. Now, there's a couple MEs here. The old MEs was that God was higher and further away from Adam, and then he got closer, and then he dropped down. Now, that was a while back. That was a couple years ago. Actually, I think he dropped down first, and then he got closer. So way back, it was also further away. Then for a long time, God was even with Adam, but now if you look, he's actually lower. God has dropped lower than Adam. There's a couple other MEs that I don't hear discussed a lot on here. One is this guy underneath's hand. I've been watching this hand get closer and closer. I don't know why you would have his hand so close up to this one, but it's just weird because this guy's hand was not in the picture before, and then there was just a little corner of the hand, and it's up, 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 up. This hand is weird, and it doesn't belong in the frame with Adam at all. Another bunch of changes are that these figures here that are with God, they used to be babies, like cherubs. And now this one has slowly been morphing into a female. So he's basically got his arm around a naked female. You would think that somebody might notice that's weird. But this character here is turning into like a man now. This was like a baby, but the arms, the legs and stuff are now like man legs. So some of these still kind of look like babies, but not. I mean, these were all babies before. They weren't adults. So this whole thing is just weird. Who was it also mentioned? Beavis Jones commenter mentioned that God was lower. He's the one who said it. So I had not checked lately, and sure enough, it's lower. So Beavis Jones gets credit for the lower. Also, Thomas Larson said there's something weird about the colors. I mean, that's a tough one because there's every image you click on has a little bit different colors. But let me see if I have any more colored ones in here. I think I have one other image of God and Adam in here. I've really got to organize these better. Oh, maybe I don't have another. Oh, here. This is the other image. I think that this was brighter. I remember this being brighter red, at least for a while. This cowl here, or whatever the heck it is. So, also, I don't think I really remember this weird light blue thing here. But see how the hand sneaks up in there now? And look, even a bit of this sneaks up in there. That was much lower before. And then originally there was no hand in the frame with the rest of it like there is now. It also looks like it's a lot more cramped here. You've got images from before. I don't know if this is like how the lettering is getting squished together, but this whole image is just getting squished in now, which is weird. So this is another one that's really shifty. Keep an eye on that one. Beehives are external now. There's one where I live. Yeah, I do remember way back that they were like, a ball, and they would have the hive inside. It's been a long time since that was that way. I had totally forgotten about it, and I think it was World Church or somebody did a video on it, and I'm like, that's when I was alerted to that one. That one snuck up on me. I had not noticed it. All right, so what are we on now? Not that one. All right, this is kind of another weird one. Let me just run through all of my ones that I've noticed changes in here. All right, that's that old video. Some of these I put up, I want to just keep an eye on them. That's the morphing house. There's been a few changes to this point here on the top of the morphing house. You can see that the point, this has gotten wider. It used to be the base of this triangle here was not so far out into the middle. Also, something's going on with the very tip now. It is not even anymore. So those are the latest changes I've seen to the morphing house. This gun-like thing, whatever it is that that Lincoln holds on Mount Rushmore, seems to be even a little darker here. There's been some chatter. Unimundi has been talking about some stuff. There's a lot of lines and fissures that constantly change in these characters. I think he's noticing that some of the fissures are going across Lincoln right now. Those do shift around a lot, definitely. I think he might be looking at this one and this one. I don't remember this being here too recently ago. This is an interesting one because all of these guys had, see how this hair is here? It's like a shaved, they never finished it look. This one had it more over here. That's Washington, I think. And this one had it more. It's going away. So I've been keeping an eye on this image because this shaved, scratchy hair thing has been slowly sneaking off, shall we say. Another thing I just noticed is this hair here is starting to look a lot like this one. First, he was the only one who had the hair when it first showed, but now this one also has similar hair. This image I just found, and it just really shows the fissures and the imperfections in the rock a lot more than the others. I don't know if that's an ME or not, though, but a lot of people, some people have been talking about the perfect circle on his head here. It does not look like a perfect circle in this higher quality image. I think they were saying it looked like there was a face inside the circle. Maybe these were the eyebrows. I'm not really seeing it exactly, but these, like I said, these fissures are always changing, so they look like they're more prominent in the current timeline, these weird fissures. Lincoln is so odd. The cross on his head where he got shot, that now looks kind of like a plane. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, anyways, let's see what else we got here. Pyramids of Giza, just something I'm trying to keep an eye on. I got to try to memorize this thing because that thing's constantly shifting. That's an old ME. Okay, here's an interesting one. Shiva at CERN. This image did not used to have a glinting light here. So something has shifted in where the sun was, or where the buildings were, or where these little spacers are. There's something that's letting the light through now in this image that did not used to. Here, Not a huge ton of changes in Shiva, but I noticed that his cobra that he holds has gotten more detailing on it. Also, it has this weird head. It looks like a dog head or something right here. It does not really look like an ordinary cobra. It looks like a dog head on a cobra or something. Something to keep an eye on there. No changes there. This is a little bit of a change here. This fabric is coming down. I keep an eye on those. Change here. I've noticed these little lumps here. I got to get more images. Oh, there is a change here. There is definitely. I always use the same image. The change here is these stripes on the floor were not there before. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was a plain floor before. Now they've got stripes. So this is a recent change. I don't think it was even here last week. So that's another change for that one. Last Supper, it's always changing. It's ridiculous. There was a change on here. What was it? Oh, shoot. I can't remember now. I saw something on here. I mean, the old one is this toe coming out of the circle. Oh, okay. This was what it was. I remember these legs originally, both that one and that one pointed out, and then these two pointed straight. Then we had a thing where this one was straight, this one was a little cockeyed, that one pointed that way. So they, now we have two pointing straight ahead. That was not how it was recently. We had one pointing straight ahead. This one was pointing a little cockeyed. This one was pointing straight out, and this one was pointing straight out. So this one's shifting around. Which foot points which way is shifting around. So keep an eye on that one. We did not have two pointing straight ahead before. So that's the change on that one. There's been other changes that I've discussed in the past, so I'm not going to go over all those. But all right, let's see. So you can just get these photos like this, these indicator images, and just like troll through them and try to remember. And you can see these little changes. It's just weird. All right, let's go back to here. Me saying now, according to this article, which is from 2015 supposedly, so it's actually kind of old, is that you'll be more like your dad because the DNA you get from your dad will be switched on more, and the DNA you get from your mother will be switched off more. So just kind of out of the blue. I don't know what significance that has, but it's something else. Another weird DNA thing to add to the many. Okay, here we go. So to add to the pile of new, hardier animals, we have desert-adapted crocodiles. This is from Mystic Souls channel. Desert-adapted crocs found in Africa. So these crocodiles, apparently, when the water dries up, they just live under rocks and they hide in caves and stuff for months, burrows and stuff. So they can basically live in the desert even when they're run out of water. So, found in Africa in 2002. So, yeah, you didn't hear about it now. It's 2018, but unexpected discovery, blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, they're getting hardier, the little crocs. And another one from the same channel were these gobi desert bears. Another weird one. Bears living out in the desert. They can hang out with the penguins, I guess. But so these bears can live out there. Of course, they're rare and endangered and about to go extinct, which in my timeline is slang for newly arrived animal. These little suckers live out in the desert. There's not much info on them. I think it's a really new creature that has shown up personally. I think I'm almost, oops. I think I'm almost done. I'm going to go over a few older ones that I missed last week. This one was interesting. I saw, if you remember the narwhal, that creature is an ME for many, but they're saying that the tusk that comes out is actually a tooth that comes out of their lip. There's two things I heard recently. One is that the tooth comes out of their lip and there's always a open sore on their lip that is constantly re-irritated by this tooth moving around and like kind of scraping against this wound, which is pretty gross. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that this would somehow have any advantage and be developed by, you know, the normal laws of Darwin and nature, that they have a constant open wound on their lip. And then the apparently the I discussed a while back about the sea lice being everywhere, and I had never heard of them. Well, apparently sea lice love to accumulate on this open wound on these narwhals. So that's one thing that's gross. Let me see if I can find an image of it. Narwhal. Dum, dum, dum. Not that I really should be looking for an image, but I'm not sure if I just saw it, and I didn't really save the location. So anyways, but yes, that's one thing. And the other one was that the tusks, they're supposed to be teeth, okay? And they get 3 meters long, so I guess they're at 9 feet now. Last I heard, they were like a year or so ago, they got up to 6 feet. Now they get up to like more like 9 feet. The tusks are flexible, they're bendy. So they can bend so they don't break. So they can bend like a foot or more, which is kind of weird for a tooth to do. But anyway, I just want to bring that one up as another weird thing. All right, I'm going to do 2 more. All right, this one I've never heard of. Dolphins have 2 stomachs. First one stores the food, and the second is where digestion takes place. That's just weird. I've never heard of any sea life having more than 1 stomach. So apparently they've gotten more complicated internally. I mean, it's kind of weird, the whole concept. I mean, we have 1 stomach and it stores the food and digests it. So I don't know why they need 2. I mean, it wasn't really clear about why. Maybe they'll make more sense later. But anyways, for now, they have 2 stomachs. I'm way behind on the chat too. All right, so 2 stomachs for dolphins. This one's a little bit older, ME. And this is another one of those animals being really smart. In this case, it's crabs. So these boxer crabs, they actually pick up sea anemones and they use them as weapons and carry them around like pom-poms. So you can see them here. These are sea anemones that this crab has grabbed and just carries them. Supposedly they take care of the sea anemones and help the sea anemones find food. I can't imagine an anemone would love to get pinched into a crab claw, but supposedly it's not too hard on the anemones. So look, there's a bunch of them, and they carry 1 anemone per claw. Just weird. So basically you've got pom-pom yielding crabs now. Just weird. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You really just can't. So anyways, I think that's all I'm going to cover for today. So it's just a half hour shorter. But I think I'm going to check out here. Let's just check a few things and see if I've missed anything. Yep, nope, does not look like I have. So I want to thank you all for coming. As usual, I really appreciate you all coming and listening to me chatter away. And I'm sorry it's so late. So I'm going to shut down now. So thanks for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.